Hello, welcome to Talk of the Game. It's match preview West Ham United against Southampton. On Boxing Day, it's Christmas Eve, so Gonzo's busy. So I thought, who do I know that also? Well, he's mediocre at Christmas, so you've got the Grinch and the mediocre Christmas fan for this preview. Charlie, let's start with always, though. Your thoughts on Southampton, please?
I really like Hasenhüttl in general, but I don't. I can't figure out whether Southampton aren't good because of him or whether they just have lost all ability to sign consistently great players. Because, I mean, I know the beginning of last season, I think it was the beginning of last season, they were flying like mad. They absolutely came out the gates flying. But since then, we've just seen this starting. They slowly got worse. And this season, they've never really got out of the gates in any way, shape, or form. I like him as a manager. I like the philosophy he plays. I like not a lot, but I like a few of their players. But they just don't seem to be the Southampton we once sort of knew in the transfer market. They don't seem to have that invention anymore. I don't know. I think they're good. I like them in general, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite the same, actually. There's something funny going on there, isn't there? And it's hard to put your finger on it. As a neutral, obviously you're a Southampton fan, you watch them every week, you probably know what exactly is needed, whether it's through a transfer market, whether the manager's not quite doing it, or maybe where there is a little bit of everything, actually, where the manager's doing okay, the players are doing okay, and that gives an okay result, but it's not very exciting. They seem to be struggling to score goals, although I think they do have a solution there. We'll get on to that in just a minute. But they're a club that I've sort of admired in the way they've gone about things for quite a few years now. I mean, sell your best players constantly is never is never a good thing, and it's difficult to take kind of thing. But I think if you invest it wisely, you can push on. But it seems like Southampton have almost done the hard, well, I guess the easy bit, which is sell the players, but the hard bit, which is push on. They've never really done that. They've just stayed still. And when you, it's a bit like the Declan Rice factor. If you're going to sell a player for lots of money, you've got to make the most of it, and you've got to do well and use it as one step back, two steps forward. And Southampton's always sort of taken one step back, one step forward. So they've just stayed still, really. But this season, it feels like they've gone one step back and they've stayed there, really. Because I always say to you, in Gons or whatever, there's no such thing as standing still in football. You're either moving forward or you're moving backwards. And Southampton just give this aura at the minute of we are retreating, we are going backwards. A few weeks ago, you look at the bottom half of the Premier League, well, they still are there, but you look at the bottom of the Premier League, they were just there, they were lingering above the relegation zone. You thought, crikey, they need to get going a little bit. And I don't get why either. Like I said, I think the manager is decent enough. I think their plan is decent enough. I think the players are decent enough. But sometimes decent enough's not okay for the Premier League. Charlie, do you think they'll stay up this season? Currently, as we speak, I think they're 6 or 7 points ahead of Burnley, who are sitting in 18. So they've got a little bit of a lead coming up to the halfway point of the season. Are they relegation candidates for you, or
I think they'll be in the mix, probably, but I don't see them getting relegated. And I think it's more a case of that classic thing. There's 3 worst teams. I think there's probably a couple more than that. I mean, you want to talk about the relegation zone. I don't think Watford are in a relegation zone, but they're probably more likely to get relegated than Southampton are. I think, like you say, they've got good players, but there may be... I often think the teams that get relegated are the opposite of that phrase more than the sum of their parts. They are less than the sum of their parts. And I think Southampton will probably be just about enough the sum of their parts to sort of exist in the Premier League again. But I can't see them at this point getting much further up the table than a sort of 15th place finish.
Yeah, I'm a bit the same as you. I don't think they'll always be 6, 7 points ahead. And then come the end of the season, obviously with 3 games to go, say, we're safe now, we're not going to get caught. I think they'll always just hover just above that area. But it always feels like they're 1 or 2 injuries away. And they have had some bad injuries, they've just had to get Willie Caballero into being goal because they've lost their 2 goalkeepers and stuff. So things haven't quite clicked for them. They've got a reasonably small squad. I think when you look at their bench, you sort of think, crikey, I don't know if they're good enough for the Premier League, but he's doing okay what he's got. I think the January transfer window is a big window for some clubs, but don't think Southampton's one of them. I think Southampton can almost get by with doing the minimum, maybe 1 player in or something like that, just a little bit of a spark. But I think the summer is huge for the Saints. I think they really need to buck up their ideas a little bit, because the next question is Persia Meyer from Southampton. Well, let's do that, really, because I think that feeds into it. Charlie, Persia Meyer from Southampton.
I mean, there's the obvious one in Ward-Prowse. Obviously, I think most people would say that he's very good and he's good at what he does. Incredible.
I don't think he's been good this season.
I don't think he. I don't. Yeah, from what I've seen, so I haven't seen enough of Southampton, but from what I've seen, I agree. But in general, if you're looking at Southampton and going, who are their best players? James Ward-Prowse usually, and most of the time, stands head and shoulders above everyone else. I think there's a couple of other decent enough players in there. Like I think Walker Peters was a good signing, for example. Though, again, I don't think he's having quite the season he had, but I think he's a decent enough signing. Seeing as Gonzalo's not here, I'll play his card for him. I think Nathan Redmond is good. He is quick and he plays on the wing. But yeah, no, I think Nathan Redmond's a good player, if not quite ever going to reach the potential he once had, but I think he's a good signing. And then I don't know, so I haven't seen enough of Southampton to say, but last time we played him, that Broha looked brilliant, and I keep seeing his name coming up again and again. And I remember in a video you did recently, you were like, he's maybe someone we should have looked at. Kid's got something.
Yeah, the two. This is part of the thing. I think the Southampton need a big transfer window for in the summer, because the two players I admire me the most this season for Southampton so far are not Southampton players. They belong to Chelsea. One is Broha. I think he's someone. I think he would fit the way we play as well. The more I like him, the more I see him, the more I like him. You know, and the obvious signs were there. No people say, "Well, but did anyone know better?" Well, I hadn't really heard much of him until the summer. But then when Chelsea are turning down loan deals for him, I thought, well, who is this guy? You look at last season at Vitesse, he's banging in goals, and Chelsea wanting to keep a striker in their squad. There's a bit of an indicator he's got something about him. And then he only went out because Lukaku got there, and Southampton was the one that snapped him up. I think he's big, he's strong, he's got a bit of pace, he's deadly in front of goal, he looks deadly anyway. And it's taken Hasenhüttl for some time, for some reason, it's taken him a bit of time to come round to playing him. And I kind of get it. You don't want to rely on a loan signing. You don't want to do that. It's a dangerous thing to do for the long-term thing of your club, especially when you've forked out for Adam Armstrong. Your priority is kind of get Adam Armstrong scoring goals. That he's got my main striker. He's not really done it. I think he's got 2 Premier League goals this season. He looks all right. He works hard and stuff. But I think he's a bit more like Che Adams in the box, if that makes sense. So he works hard, but he perhaps doesn't contribute enough goals to be the out-and-out goal scorer for Southampton, that is. Whereas I think Broha will. I think he's got that about him. And I think that's why Saints will be okay this season. Another player that impressed me loads, and I actually think he's up there with the young player of the season so far, up there with the signing of the season so far, and that's Livramento. I think he's an outstanding right back. He's only just turned 18 or just turned 19. He's only just turned one of those anyway. But regardless, he's still really, really young. You know, Southampton fans will miss him when he goes back to Chelsea. There's no doubt about that. But there's another Reece James type thing there, where Reece James went to Wigan, was outstanding, and everybody sort of hummed and hawed about it, and then missed their chance. There's a little bit of that going on with Livramento at the minute, and that is Southampton can somehow get something so that they can keep him long term. What a signing he'd be. He impresses me every time. I think he's a bit raw defensively. I think defensively sometimes you can be got at, but going forward, I think he's their best attacking player, and he plays at right back. I do. He's on Sunday. Is it Sunday? When's Boxing Day? Boxing Day Sunday.
Sunday.
Mate, I'm struggling what day of the week it is at the minute. Anyway, do you want to know how bad it was? All right. Mrs. Gio earlier went to go to get we were up in Scotland, and then she went and got to get a sausage bap thing, and she told me, oh, it was quite a good deal. It was only this from Greg. I said, it's Friday, you could have got your free one on O2, and it's just everybody's days are all. Anyway, come Sunday, Livramento is a player that actually worries me the most, and he plays right back. Keep him quiet. I think we'll be okay. Ward-Prowse, I'm a Ward-Prowse fanboy, but this season I think he's been pretty poor, to be honest, Charlie. I think he's quite poor. But should we part of Southampton move on to West Ham?
No, let's talk about Southampton for the next 20 minutes. Well, I've got nothing more to say, but let's just try it. Why not? Let's give it a shot.
Would you like to know the latest West Ham team news?
Okay, all right. That I'll take. That I'll accept.
All right. Soufal's back from suspension. Hey, Adam Creswell, David Moyes has suggested that he doesn't know what's going on with Adam Creswell. Moyes expected him to be back a few games ago. He's still not back. He basically said he's chipped a bone. He doesn't know what bone. Moyes doesn't know what the term is for the bone that Adam Creswell's chipped. But so Creswell might be back. He might not be. I don't know. Charlie doesn't know. And I'm not even sure David Moyes knows himself either. But for the sake of the preview, we'll consider both factors. And then Mikel Antonio may be available for selection. Again, David Moyes made on he doesn't know. So Antonio missed the game against Tottenham with COVID. However, Moyes sort of revealed that he actually got COVID last week, so before the Norwich game. So it looked like he would have missed the Norwich game. So it turns out that game being postponed was actually pretty handy for us. So he's actually been isolated since last week, and that he gave away his vaccination status as being double jabbed. So he reckons it's a 7-day isolation period, and therefore I think he'll be available for Boxing Day. So it sounds like if the rules are 7 days, he's able to play, but the rules are 10 days, he's not able to play. That's the vibe I got from Moyes. But for the sake of the preview, we'll consider that both players are available for selection. But Charlie, just before I grab your thoughts, I just want to say a massive thank you to Barney. Barney says, "Happy Christmas, lads. Love the content. Keep up the good work." And he's chucked a fiver, well, not quite a fiver, 450. He's chucked into the old biscuit tin / full-time fun, whatever calling it these days. Thank you, Barney. Charlie, we play 3 at the back against Tottenham. How would you like to see us line up defensively for this one?
Back to 4. Back to 4. And then it's pretty simple for me. I think it'd be Fabianski in goal, Kufal, Dawson, Diop, Cresswell. If Cresswell is available, if we're acting like he's available, then him. If not, Ben Johnson at left back.
No Masuaku?
No, surprisingly not. Look, the thing is, I actually think Masuaku's been a little bit better than most people of late. I think he's had some decent games. I think he's put in shockingly more good crosses than I ever thought he was capable of. But there's still a significant amount of susceptibilities in his game, and I think I would rather start with someone who I'm at least a bit more confident with defensively for now in Ben Johnson, and get Ben Johnson more time on the pitch, because I don't think I think just getting him as much game time as possible is a good thing. Than have the defensive frailties, especially when you pick up people like Livramento and stuff like that. You'd rather have someone there who's a bit more on it defensively. Let's say.
I'll be honest, Charlie. We're playing 3 at the back on Sunday. The team comes out on Sunday. We're playing 3 at the back with Masuaku left wing, but I'll be terrified. I will be, because and you have to. I think you've almost got an obligation as the manager. You've almost got an obligation to protect your players sometimes.
Yeah.
Not quite player welfare like Jordan Henderson's piping up about, despite the fact that he complained when Ogbonna was down, and he complained about Ogbonna needing treatment, and he's now out for the rest of the season. That Jordan Henderson that cares about player welfare. That one, not him. It would terrify me, because I think when a player's out of form for whatever reason, I think the manager has to help him out a little bit, whether it's move him or get him out the team or something, like Antonio. And I blame not necessarily Antonio's form, but fans' frustration towards Antonio. I blame Moyes to some extent, because I think it's gone on for too long now. Help him out a little bit, do something different, but we're trying the same thing. And we've now got this situation with Masuaku where Arsenal targeted him. We all know what happened there. Come along to Tottenham, they're doing the same thing. They're going after Arthur Masuaku. There's now a blueprint there for Hasenhüttl for the last 2 games that says go after Masuaku. If Masuaku's playing, go down after that side. They'll come down that side anyway with Livramento. But you're almost just unleashing Saints' best attacking player up against our weakest player defensively. So I think, I don't think Masuaku's played that well recently, and I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think Moyes has now got a bit of an obligation to help him out, and that is to get him out of the team, essentially. So I agree with the team you're picking. Soufal, Dawson, Diop, and Cresswell. And we've missed Aaron Cresswell loads, but if he's not fit, Ben Johnson, back to our back 4, because this is an important game. How would you like to see the midfield lineup, Mr. Walsh?
Again, yes, I'd go for the 4-2-3-1. So if we're talking, do you want just the 2, or do you want the 2 and the 3?
Give me the 2 first. I assume they pick themselves unless you're going curveball.
Nah, it's right and Souček.
I would like to see Weiss and Lanzini.
I can see the logic.
Only for this game. I think sometimes my frustration and when we're winning and things are going well, you don't need to. But when we're struggling or we feel a little bit, as I call it, we're missing the X factor, or a little bit stale, which I feel we are, although we play well against Tottenham. I think sometimes you need to then be a bit more specific for your opponent. So when you come up against a certain team, you play a certain way, vice versa. We're playing Southampton. We know how Southampton will play. They will play 4-4-2. Even if we've only got one available striker, he will play usually a wide midfielder up front as well. So he keeps his shape, he keeps his formation. So therefore, we know we're going to come up against 2 centre midfielders. And I think that gives us a little bit of an advantage on Sunday. So it means that in terms of physique, I think you can almost lessen it a little bit. I'd like to see Lanzini in beside Declan Rice. So you've got the 2 slightly technical players, 2 better players than Southampton on the ball. Romeo's a bit of a workhorse and gets around the pitch physically and stuff. But I don't fear them. I don't fear them in the middle of the park. I really don't. I think there's an advantage there for West Ham to win the game. And I mean in possession of the ball. I think Souček's a fantastic player, has positives, lots of attributes, but on the ball is where I think he's particularly weak compared to other players of our squad. And I think in this game, we're probably going to see a decent bit of possession. And I think Lanzini's probably one of our better players on the ball. Against Tottenham, he wasn't the best. He had an average game, but there was that pass he did over the top of Tottenham's defence for Jared Bowen. Another day, Bowen takes a slightly different touch. The keeper doesn't do quite as well, ends up in the back of the net. That pass was fantastic. I want to see more of that. Lanzini in the team, next to Declan Rice for me. So how would you like your three?
The three for me would be it would be Fornals, Benrahma, Vlasic, which probably says something about up front. But yeah, Benrahma, Fornals, Vlasic.
Were you impressed by Vlasic against Tottenham? Impressed enough anyway.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the last couple of games he's played. I've been impressed enough with him. I think he's got that little bit of I think in a situation where our front line has been largely out of form and struggling, whenever he's came on the pitch, he doesn't seem to be affected by that too much. He doesn't seem to be suffering with that same malaise. He comes on, he tries to find nice passes. It's not like he's doing anything exceptional. It's not like he's not picking up the ball and streaming past people with incredible skill or pace or anything like that. He just seems to be smart enough to know what he's doing. And I sort of remember times where, and this it's not an exact comparison, don't get me wrong, but do you remember when Felipe Anderson first started playing for us and he was in good form and he was pulling off through balls and stuff that the other players just weren't latching onto because they weren't aware it was going to happen. But when he would do it, you're like, oh, if only someone knew what was about to happen. If there was a connection there, a partnership there, that would have been an incredible through ball. There's a little bit of that I see where he's coming in, he's finding these passes and getting involved in nice areas. And I'm like, if the players around him were just a little bit more sharp, a little bit better, then maybe we would have a really good opportunity here. So I've been impressed with him enough to, I think, give him a start because I think that could be something we're missing and the key to getting our front line back fit and firing in full cylinders again.
Yeah, I completely agree, by the way. I think Vlasic should be one of the first names on the attacking part of the team sheet for this one because I think with Benrahma and Fornals and not so much Lanzini, but those two in particular, they're coming out of form. It feels like Vlasic is coming into form. He's got a little bit of momentum about him. He's getting his way into the team. He should be fresh. I think I made some excuses for him a little bit and said that, a couple of months ago, if you like, that was his pre-season at West Ham because he never had a pre-season. So he's still getting up to scratch a little bit. Well, he's got to be at that point now. So we've got to get him into the team. We need to see a bit more of Vlasic. So he's a must for me. But my other two is Souček. Because I'd like to see him further forward, Charlie. I would like to see Souček further forward. I miss him in the box. I do. We got it again. First half against Tottenham, bam, 2 headers from Souček, 2 good saves from Lloris. Then we just didn't see him in the box again. I thought, I miss this. I want to see more of it. So get him further up the pitch. It'd help a little bit. We just played him 10 yards further forward, where he could be closer to the striker. He could get in the box quick. And like I said, because of the way Southampton play with their formation, you'll get a little bit of space in behind their defence. And he's not the person that's going to unlock the Southampton defence. I don't expect him to get the ball and play a lovely pass or anything. But at least if he can get closer to the striker and almost make it a 2 up front for West Ham at times when the ball's wide or whatever, get in the box and provide a threat from there. I'd like to see him further up the pitch. Simple as that, really. But on the right, Mikel Antonio.
Okay, I see the logic.
If you've watched the preview for the Tottenham game and the Norwich game, I'm basically copying and pasting my team to some extent because it's the 3rd game in a row now. I said, Antonio on the right, please. He's been poor up front.
Yeah.
But I think he's been working hard, Charlie. I do think he's been working hard. It's not a lack of effort. He's just been struggling a little bit. Team's been struggling. I think it's just gone a little bit stale. He's got banged out a little bit. Teams have worked out how to play against him. I don't know, but there's a lot of different reasons for it not quite working at the moment. And a bit like the Masuaku factor, I'd like to see him on the right. And Kyle Walker-Peters, I like him going forward, but defensively, I think he's a bit of a liability. Plus, he's a right-sided. He's a right back, playing left back. He's on the wrong side. If any player in our team can beat a man consistently for 90 minutes, it's Mikel Antonio. Antonio, he's got pace. He's got power. You don't lose that. Form doesn't come into it. Because you're out of form, you don't go slow. You don't turn slow. you're still fast. You don't get weak. You're still strong. So I'd like to see Antonio given almost like an immediate opponent. So just beat him over 90 minutes because of the Soucek factor in the box. Get Antonio arriving at the back post like we saw in the olden days, kind of thing. And I think.
When was the last time he scored a header? Like years ago at this point, wasn't it?
Nah.
I remember at some point a couple of months ago, West Ham uploaded on the official YouTube channel every Premier League Antonio goal or whatever. And I sat and watched it, and I swear there was like the last 3 years or something, he hasn't got even close to scoring a headed goal. Like it's insane to think about because that was his whole thing at the beginning. But I see the logic, and actually to back you up, when we switched it, what game was it? I don't remember. Arsenal. That sounds about right. When he switched over to the right hand side, I thought he was infinitely better. All of a sudden he seemed to that game. Yeah, and then even when he was forced to drop and essentially play right back for the rest of the game when Soufal got sent off, I thought he still was looking really lively and really good. I thought he was a good shot. I think that's a fair point. I didn't even consider it, so I think that's a fair point. I'm sticking with my boys, but I do think you've raised something interesting there.
The one problem that we'd have with that, you're getting Soufal's way. Soufal likes an overlap, and we had this problem when Antonio played right back. And I think it was Victor Moses was playing right wing at the time, and they just refused to pass each other. Antonio wouldn't pass to him. It was almost like, you're in my position, so I'm not going to help you. And they just kept running into each other. They were just trying to go in the same space all the time. I think we'd have an element of that with Soufal and Antonio. But swings and roundabouts, Antonio's playing right wing half time anyway. Even when he's striker, he's out on the right. Just if he's going to play there, he might as well play him there. Get someone else in the middle of the park. I think we've both got the same striker, Charlie.
Jarrod Bowen. I mean, the way he took his goal the other night was brilliant. That's the sort of thing you would expect from Antonio when he was in form. The touch, the turn, just taking it, putting it into the bottom corner almost instinctively. Really impressive. His work rate has been exceptional this season. He's been the one player out the front four I've never really felt like needed to come out. He's the one player I've always been like, if you're rotating for Europe or whatever, maybe, but like I've never felt like, oh, we need to take him out for his own good. No, I think he's just kept going and going and going. And to be honest with you, I think he's been more effective than Antonio up front. I think in the last game he was more effective than Antonio up front. So I wouldn't want to change that. This isn't a long-term thing by any stretch of the imagination. Not right now. I think Antonio is the longer-term solution up front out of the two of them. I think we need to sign someone, obviously, but for now, I can't see any other person to start in that position than Jarrod Bowen.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That goal, it's not just the fact he scored, is it? It's the way he scored. Like you said, he almost snatched it off. It was a poor shot kind of thing, but it's the way he just still intercepted it anyway, spun the defender and put him with his weak foot. It was a fantastic strike altogether, and I think his movement's been good. Like I said, it was that pass from Lanzini. It was Bowen's run. Bowen has to make the run in order for Lanzini to make the pass kind of thing. I think his movement's been good. He hassles centre-backs like there's no tomorrow. Our press, I feel, is better with Jarrod Bowen in a central position. Yeah. I think he's a little bit more energetic than what Antonio can be sometimes. Antonio still contributes to it, but I just think Bowen is just like a bulldog. He's just constantly, Bowen just doesn't stop for 90 minutes. He's just run. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got the running stats for the season so far. Jarrod Bowen's top, and I don't mean collectively, I mean on average over a game kind of thing. Break it down over a 90-minute thing and keep it fair. I expect Bowen to be relatively high on that sheet kind of thing. I agree with you. I think Bardet Kamais has been our best player this season. And also sometimes in the match, he's been our best player, usually the top three for man and match contenders kind of thing. I think Bowen's been fantastic. I'd like to see him get a shot through the middle. And I agree with you, it's not a long-term solution. January's around the corner. We're not looking for a long-term solution. We're looking for a short-term solution to get to January and readdress it. Yes, we've still got games, but I'd like to think we've got some form of plan for the January transfer window already, which includes a striker. We shall wait and see for January. Charlie, the next three fixtures, so Southampton at home. And then we've also got Watford and Crystal Palace around the corner as well. Three quite important games, I think. 9 points up the grabs. I'm going to say it, Charlie. See if you agree. A minimum of 7 points has to be in order for this. Minimum. I agree.
I agree. If we've got any hope of trying to finish in some sort of European contention, let's say, they're essentially must-win games, should win games. You know, you like to talk about when you look at the games at the beginning of the season, you write down where your wins and your losses are and everything else, and you have to put them down as automatic W's and move on, because you're like, if you have any hope of maintaining that momentum, yeah, sure, of course, the wins against the teams around you are what gain you positions. But if you're not gaining the position against them, then you're not going to be there. And these have to be winnable fixtures. 7 has to be the minimum for me as well. If we've got any hope of continuing some sort of European ambition this season in terms of finishing positions, and I'm not even just talking about top 4 here. I'm talking about top 6/7. If we want to be in that bracket, we have to be getting, like you say, at least 2 wins from these.
Yeah, I completely agree. We need 7 points as a minimum. I think we might even need 9, to be honest with you, if we're to maintain that. You know, I think top 4, I think we're still in the race, but we almost need 9 points just to stay within touching distance for the more difficult fixtures. Because at the minute, unfortunately, Spurs look like favourites to be getting 4th, and it's theirs to lose with their games in hand, kind of thing. But to finish in 6 or 7, then and that might not even be enough for European football. It depends on the outcomes of the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. You know, we need lots of points from this, possibly maximum points, to give us a shout of European football, and that has to be the aim this season. And Moyes said before the cup game, the Premier League will always be his priority. Well, let's see it then. And listen, he took the cup game seriously. I'm happy with how we played. Go watch the reviews. It's not a dig about how he approached the cup, but he's not necessarily wrong. The Premier League might be priority. Well, we need to get the points on the board then. We're at the League Cup now. Give us a bit of a break. We've got the FA Cup around the corner. And do you know something? This might be a bit unpopular, right? But if we get 9 points out of these games, I won't mind the FA Cup as much. If we were to only pick up 4 points or something in this, I think the FA Cup becomes quite important, because the league's sort of floundering a little bit. But if we get 9 points, we're looking in a healthy position. Come the FA Cup game, it's sort of like, well, it would be nice to go through, but I think priority is keeping the first team fit and fresh and away from that, because we've got the Europa League around the corner as well. So I think these next 3 fixtures almost determine how serious I want to see West Ham and Moyes take the FA Cup in January against Leeds United as well.
And I think it's one of those things where, like, if you look at the beginning of the season and you asked me, do I want us to be in the European contention finishing spots, I would have said, well, yeah, ideally, but I wasn't expecting that. You know, I wanted us to get into the knockout stages of Europe, maybe get deep into a cup run. But I would have taken a top 10 position. You know, I wouldn't have been, and that's not to say I wouldn't take a top 10 position now. I still would be like, that's a decent enough season. But obviously, your goals shift. If you look at the first half of the season and say, oh, West Ham don't have an opportunity to do that here, I think you're lying to yourself. I think you just have to shift those goals and go, actually, if we take this, if we go for it, if we do what we know we can get a European position again for a second season in a row. And that's a huge achievement.
So 9 points up for grabs. I'm confident we'll start with all 3 on Sunday?
Ish. I'm more confident than I have been of late. I saw enough positive signs in the last match to where I felt like we were stepping up again. Whereas the last couple of matches, I've been like, we're just going down and down. I feel like at this point, I'm like, okay, right. I've seen something there. We've come away from that. It sucks that we lost for obvious reasons, but I at least saw a little something to give me a bit of hope. I'm not sitting here thinking we're going to step up and just blap Southampton like I would have if we played them 2 months ago. But I'm sitting here and going, do you know what? I'm sort of relatively confident we can. Relatively.
Yeah, I'm too confident. I know I'm too confident, though. Sure. I don't. It largely hinges on the fitness of Aaron Cresswell and Mikel Antonio, to be honest with you. I think Tottenham, I missed Antonio. I missed him not there. Not necessarily starting per se, but certainly on the bench as an option to bring on and stuff. We just missed Antonio. And we missed Aaron Cresswell massively at the moment, not just because of his replacement, but just because of Aaron Cresswell and what he contributes to the team. So my confidence will alter if I see both of them starting Sunday or they're both out. It will wane a little bit. However, I don't fear Southampton that much. I don't. Famous last words. Provided Masuaku's not starting, I don't think they'll score 2. I don't think Southampton will score 2. I just don't think they pack enough punch. I don't think they've got enough goals in them, kind of thing. They've got a third choice goalkeeper in goal. There's a lot lining up for this. And yes, we have injuries, but so do Southampton. Are they as big as ours? Arguably. Stuart Armstrong, Che Adams are just back from injury. Might not be fit enough to start Sunday. I'm sorry, but that's two players that would probably start for them usually. Their keeper's out as well. So yes, we're missing our first choice centre-backs. They're missing plenty of first-team players as well. So to some extent, the injury thing is not really an excuse on Sunday. It's almost like fair game. Both teams are impacted by it. Crack on and get on with it. And it's a must-win game on Sunday. I'll be disheartened and a bit annoyed if we don't win on Sunday, Charlie, because sometimes it is against Tottenham. It was just a little bit too much for the team that we put out. We just didn't quite have enough quality. I don't think you can afford that to Southampton. And Saints fans are made it this far. I know it sounds really disrespectful, but I just don't. You are where you are in the league. We are where we are. It's the league suggests that we are better than you this season, and I completely agree we are as well. So I am a bit too confident. I think we've got enough players in form. I think we've got better players than them. I think they're missing important players. I think they've got too many players like Ward-Prowse. I think he's out of form at the moment. He should be the most important player. On form, he probably shouldn't even be starting on Sunday. It should be Romeo and Diallo, but he'll start because he's captain in case they get corners and free kicks. Any final words from yourself, Mr. Walsh? And can I get your score prediction, please?
Yeah, I've avoided using the term must win, but I do think it's an incredibly important game for us. I think it could be one where we do end up turning our form around. At least, hopefully, this needs to be a confidence builder. I think against Spurs, we had some moments, and the second half was all ours, and that should give the team enough confidence at least to go, okay, we can maybe step up against the next team. And this needs to be another one of those where we get more confidence coming out the back of it than we do starting it. When it comes to the actual scoreline itself, like you say, I can't see them scoring 2. I could probably see them nicking 1. But I think I'll go 2-1 West Ham. Because I just think this needs to be it. This needs to be us getting back on that roll now.
Yeah, plenty to build on from the Tottenham game, but it's important that we do. It's massively important that we build on it, and we see a better performance than what we saw against Tottenham. A bit more clinical, a bit more creative, and that'll be enough to get the 3 points. I'm going to go for 2-1 West Ham as well, and I am going to label it as a must-win if we want European football. That is our aspiration. The manager spoke about it, the players I spoke about it, and I think we're a bit pessimistic as a fan base if we suggest that European football isn't the aim for this season. I think it should be. It has to be. Do we have to play above the sum of our parts in order to get European football? To some extent. Do I think we've got the 5th best squad in the Premier League? Not really. But do I think we can finish 5th? Yes, I do. Because of other elements, whether it's your organisation, your hard work, your attitude, taking advantage of other teams' bad luck and stuff. There's lots of different factors for us to finish above where we probably truly are on paper. And football ain't played on paper, and that's a bloody good thing. And that's what we've got to take advantage of on Sunday, because we are better than a lot of teams in the league at the minute. We need to show. Pardon me. I think the fans need a lift. We've got Christmas Day tomorrow. That'll get the fans all festive. Boxing Day comes round, which is my Christmas Day. We've got to get 3 points and get the fans that have made their way there something to cheer about, because it's a hassle to get to that ground on Sunday. There's hardly any trains running. COVID's going on, family things and stuff like that. It's going to be difficult for fans to get there, and it's important that we turn up. I think we're going to scrape it. I don't think it'll be a good game to watch. I think it'll be a old school Moyes grind out kind of win, but something, I'll take it. I've always said cups are about results and leave your entertainment for the league. But sometimes when the league comes up, actually it's about results. Just get it however you need to and worry about the fancy football later on down the line. And it's got that feeling for me. Just get the 3 points no matter how you do it. Shall we leave it there, Mr. Walsh?
I'm good to do that.
Well, thank you for joining me on this preview, Charlie. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff on Sunday, which means we will be live at 1:55 with a build-up show, followed by the watch along, followed by the review. Have a chat, your one-stop shop for everything on a West Ham match day. If you enjoy the preview, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Myself, Charlie, and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.